Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of Kyle's Corner. Today, I'm joined by gentleman and scholar Jake Bishop, the Gavriel Kay resident expert, the chainmail expert, and the guy who knows lots of random things about lots of historical-based stuff. So, how are you today, Jake?
Pretty good. The gentleman scholar, I don't know. All those other things were true. Don't actually know a lot about history, just know a lot of random facts about history. So it sometimes appears that I'm more knowledgeable than I am. And some of those are about the effectiveness of chainmail, which many authors seem to not be aware of. And it's just like, you know what? Just swing harder, and it'll just go right through the chainmail. And I'm like, cool. Yeah, just punch that metal wall, but punch it really hard. Okay. Good luck with that. Anyway, that's me.
Yeah. My favorite thing on Discord is like when you're like reading a book and you're like, I like all this stuff, but this like wouldn't happen, and it's just like a really random detail, and you're like, but this wouldn't happen, and everybody else is like, Jake, get over it, and you're like, no, I won't get over it. I'm like, this is me. This is how I handle problems.
I'm also like, I'm not saying like, it makes the book bad or anything. Just pointing out, like, no.
Yeah. So what are you reading right now?
I am reading Shaman's Crossing by Robin Hobb.
Oh yeah, you guys are doing that read along.
I'm not that far in. I'm on chapter 8, but I'm enjoying it quite a bit so far. I'm not like enjoying it live shipped. This is the best thing I've ever read amount, but like, if this was the first Hobb book I'd read, I'd be like, oh, this is really good. It's a bit slow. It's Hobb. What do you expect?
Yeah. I was just gonna say, I bought that. So when I was first getting into like the booktube sphere, I just heard Robin Hobb as an author, and I didn't really know. And I knew she had a big series, and I didn't really know what it was. And my like used bookstore had the first 2 books of the Shaman Crossing one, and I got them, and I thought they were part of like the Fitz books, and then I saw that they weren't when I looked online, and they had like a 3.4 rating, and I was like, I'm just gonna not start here, and I donated them, and I was like, I shouldn't have though. I should have kept them.
Yeah, you probably should, but that's okay. You'll find him again. Apparently, lots of people don't like him, so they'll send him to used bookstores, and yeah.
Yeah. Would you say like her character voice, like it's third person, or is it first person?
It's first person.
First person, and it feels like quite different than Fitz, or yeah, that's what I would think.
I would say it's quite different to Fitz. I mean, Weir, who's the protagonist, isn't as likable as Fitz. So I think that's a lot of the reasons like why people probably don't like it as much, because it's first person. I think Weir's interesting. Weir's like, well, he's the soldier son. It's the soldier son trilogy, where they have like the second son of all like the families are the designated soldier son, because like the place needs enough soldiers, but they're like, all right, if you have one son, you need him to be your heir. But like if you got 2 sons, that's one extra. So
that is fair.
Yeah. So he's the soldier son, and is going to know he's going to be a soldier like from birth, and is going to like train to be a soldier and all that. So I mean, Weir listens to people, well, specifically like his parental figures, a lot more than Fitz does. Fitz is kind of like, he's giving instructions, and he's like, the code is more what you call guidelines than actual rules. Weir has kind of the opposite problem. Weir's like very rigid, and probably trusts and respects his father more than he should. So he doesn't quite have like the charm of Fitz, but I'm still really enjoying it. That could change. I mean, I'm 200 pages in, but it's got some cool world building stuff. Some cool events have already happened. There was an event that was like, what is going on? Like a bit of a mind bending chapter. I wouldn't start here. I'd start with Assassin's Apprentice, but
right. Have you read any of her Megan Lindholm stuff, or is this the first non-Elderling stuff you read?
First non-Elderlings. I own The Wizard and the Pigeons.
Nice. I just picked up like a random short, like The Inheritance, the short story collection from like both of them, but like obviously it's all Robin Hobb, but like
yeah.
And so I want to dive into that at some point, but I really need to read Fool's Errand. It's insane. I was going to read it in January, and just
I'm very disappointed in you.
I'm disappointed in myself.
Hello, Rogue.
Yes, Hello Rogue. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's one of those things. The thing is that I know I'm going to love it, and so I'm like, I'll save it for later, and then everybody's like, "Do you want to buddy read this? Do you want to buddy read this?" And then I'll get arcs, I'm like, I gotta read this arc, and then I'm
Whatever.
just
You're
like,
doing
now
the
it's due.
Sarantine buddy read, so I'll forgive you because that's what's
Yeah,
replacing
this is
it.
my next book, guys. Lord of Emperors.
But the thing is, there's like 3 or 4 books that you could be reading instead of Lord of Emperors that I'm legitimately like, I like those more than Lord of Emperors, and Fool's Errand is one of them.
You like Fool's Errand more than Lord of Emperors?
Fool's Errand is, yeah, I give Fool's Errand 10 out of 10. It's
Wow,
my
really?
third
So
favorite
okay,
book of
so
all
if I,
time. Yeah,
so if I was to guess, number 1 is Assassin's Fate.
correct.
Number 2 is Words. No, it's not. Number 2 is Ship of Magic.
Correct, which is kind of a weird number 2. That's my like.
So then number 3 is Fool's Errand.
Is Fool's Errand, yeah.
So
And then it's like
four is
Lord
Lord
of
of
Emperors
Emperors.
and Words of, and then 5 Words of Radiance, maybe 4 is Words of Radiance. I don't know. Those
Okay.
two.
When I met you, Words of Radiance was either your second favorite or your favorite. I don't think you'd read Assassin's Fate yet. Maybe you had.
Yeah, I think Fool's Errand ended up getting bumped up in hindsight because I just kept looking at the rating and being like, that's way too low. But then it was not, the way too low rating was 9.8 out of 10. So I was like, not that much room to go up. But yeah, I think it's moments have maybe stuck with me the longest of maybe any of the Realm of the Elderlings books. So it's got bumped up a bit in hindsight, but it's so good.
That's happening to me a little bit with Dead House Gates. I'm not very far removed from Dead House Gates, but I'm reading Memories of Ice, and I'm thinking, is this my favorite of the 3 I've read so far? And when I finished Dead House Gates, I was like, well, I like Gardens of the Moon more than Dead House Gates. But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I don't know. I think I like Dead House Gates more. So like, I just with more distance, I kind of think more fondly on that book too.
Yeah, granted, the difference in this case was going from like 6th favorite book of all time to 3rd, not like 4 stars to 5 stars.
Your level of granularity is impressive. You're like,
I realized I was like, I am a Fool's Errand hater for saying this is merely my 6th favorite book of all time. That is unacceptable. It has to be higher than that.
You're hyping this book up too much. I expect to love that book. Like I agree that I have no worries about it at all.
Well, it's good because you're going to be reading it after you're in Vancouver. Because if you read it before and didn't like it, then we might have to throw hands. So.
Oh yeah, Jake and I are meeting in person this week.
Yeah, so he's going to finally confirm I have legs, which apparently is controversial. So.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that was the most random joke of all time. Like I just said it offhand one time. Jake had posted a picture in Discord, and he was just standing, and I just never seen a picture of him standing. I was like, wait, Jake has legs? And it just became a thing where people were like, Jake doesn't have any legs. And then it was like, we've never seen these legs. And he would post a picture of his legs, and then he would be like,
to be clear, not just a picture.
No,
of
not just
one
legs,
standing.
like him standing, yeah. And then people would be like, I don't know, it looks like CGI. We can't be sure, like, Photoshop. So yeah, that's just become like.
I don't know. Have you guys seen my thumbnails? I'm not exactly good at Photoshop. It was Fool's Errand, by the way, Evie. So approved by you. Well, I mean, I'm going like after work, so I'm not.
Yeah, and Theo from Rekindle Reader and maybe somebody else is also going to be there. So that'll be a whole thing. And then also my significant other will be there, and she does not want to live stream. So that will not be. But maybe we'll all take a picture and we'll post it somewhere and be like, BookTube crew.
And then people will be like, it's photoshopped. Look, Jake has yeah. Also, by the way, for the legs thing, he missed a joke because when he was like, where do we want to go? I was like, well, make sure it's somewhere like wheelchair accessible.
Oh,
and
yes.
He didn't get what I was talking about.
I did not get it at all. I genuinely was like, oh my God, Jake, what happened? And then I was like, oh, yeah.
I'm just like, I mean, if you think I don't have legs, then it's at least,
This is also, it isn't even Canada edition because Abby might be there if she can make it work. She happens to be vacationing in Vancouver right now. No, actually, no booktubers have legs.
The funny thing is, people think I don't. I'm actually the only one that has legs. All of the others don't, okay? They'll tell you they do, but you can tell by the relative quality of thumbnails that they actually might have the Photoshop skills, especially Philip Chase. and
Philip's
they are just
Photoshop game is great.
photoshopping legs onto themselves. Okay.
Yeah.
Me, I use Canva because I'm terrible at Photoshop. So I can't create images of myself with legs. So I have to actually have legs.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I haven't been sold yet. You missed Jake saying that he's reading Soldier Son, Evie, which I think, did you start that book? You're part of that read along, right? And I am reading this book that never ends. This long book, Memories of Ice, but I'm almost done. I'm at page 910 out of like 1100, so I will probably finish tonight. And it's very good. I have issues with the way people describe this book, but like that's not the book itself's fault. But it is a very good book. And I'm also reading this self-published book that is very good. It's called Seeds of War by Joao. I hope I'm saying his name right. Silva. It's very good. I really like it a lot.
I've heard of one of those.
Yeah, you need to read more self-pub, Jake.
I do.
Get
You
it
know
together.
what? I've read like not that much this year, and a decent percentage of it has been self-pub because by not reading that much, and one of them was Way of Eden, and one of them was are you reading Dreams of the Dying as well?
Yeah, I'm doing that on audio. I just have the physical books right here, so that's what I thought of. I'm always reading lots of books, but
Okay.
Dreams of the Dying is really good. And I'm listening to it entirely on audio. And because I was really afraid, some people said that there was like lots of typos and grammar problems, and I was like, I'll do it on audio, and the audio narrator just happened to be really good. But I really like the book. I've seen no problems with it. Like I know I wouldn't visually see grammar problems, but like I don't know,
Yeah,
the writing is fine.
I'm not saying there were no typos, but I am saying I did not notice a single typo, and I usually notice 1 or 2 typos per book.
Yeah.
So I would be shocked, like, if there's an above average amount of typos in Dreams of the Dying. I like maybe there was like another version at first or something. Like I don't know. I'm very confused.
I did hear that he like released an ebook and it was like not totally finished, and then he released the full one, but I don't know the deal there.
I don't get it. Anyway, really good book.
You know, now that you say that, Luna, that is like no, because I'll get off work tonight and I'll have 4 hours before bed. I might not finish it tonight because Malazan reads pretty slowly, but I could for sure read 200 pages in 4 hours. That's 50 pages in half an hour. Like it just depends on the reading of the like what book. I probably won't. Now that I'm breaking it down, I probably won't finish it tonight, but I'll be close.
Well, I think you would have because you believed you would, but now
Maybe.
doubt has been instilled. So now you're gonna defeat yourself.
For sure. There's lots of times where I'm like, I'm finishing a book tonight, and I'll just stay up as late as possible until I finish it.
Yeah, it happens to me all the time.
Yeah, and then but there's other times where I'm like, I'm gonna finish this book tonight, and then I'll be like 12:30, and there'll be like 200 pages left. I'll be like, I'm not finishing this book tonight, and then I won't even try. So it is all about belief.
Yeah. Yeah, and now you don't believe in yourself. It's very sad. We've seen you defeated. We're actually going to take like another 5 days to finish Memories of Ice.
No, I can't. I told Bookborn that we would both finish on Wednesday, so I'm actually gonna finish.
Is Bookborn going to finish on Wednesday?
She was on the last chapter last night, so I haven't checked in, but she's gonna finish right away. Yeah, it's funny because we both procrastinated and then we finished Deadhouse Gates on the same day, like not without even trying. Like we were just both finally got our shit together on the same day. And then the same thing is happening with Memory of Ice, where it took us like 2 months to read this book because we both just kept not wanting to read. And then
what's Bookborn thinking? Is she going to go haterade or is she enjoying it? Or unknown?
This is McDonald's, and why would you like Tim Hortons? You are American. So Bookborn likes the book. I haven't asked her what her rating would be. I'm going to imagine 4 stars if I'm just guessing. I think we both are in agreement that we both like Malazan, but it's not one of our favorite series. And like, I personally, now I'll switch to just talking for myself. I think the way people talk about Malazan to people who have not read it or who are reading it is more of a hindrance sometimes than a help, because the fandom, I know they're trying to be helpful, but a lot of times they're just like, well, you don't understand this thing yet, but it's all about compassion, bro. And it's like, it's so deep, bro. Like, it's like, you don't even know. I'm like, can I just read the story and like have an opinion that isn't your opinion? So that frustrates me. But the book itself, I really like.
I'm in a similar position for Malazan Book of the Fallen, where I'm like, I really like that series, and there are also definitely series I like more. Passion's cool. Get that. See what we're doing.
Yeah, so like my thing with Memory of Ice is that people tell me, and I agree that I could see why this happens, which is that it's where it all clicks for them and they kind of understand that they love the series, and then it's just off to the races from there. And I can see why, because there's a lot of lore dumps and there's a lot of information. You get so much more information. The conflicts become clearer, and there's a lot of really cool action, and like there's dinosaurs and like all sorts of stuff like that. So like I understand. But then other people are like, yeah, Memories of Ice, man. Like it's just all the themes start coming in, and I don't know, man. Like I think I'm destined to find Malazan really good, but I don't know if it'll make my top 10.
That's fair.
We shall see. Yeah, and I appreciate you because obviously I'm generalizing. There are a lot of really nice Malazan fans. I just like as a community as a whole, sometimes like there was a scene I read last night, and I won't say what it is here, but it involved a character who's a soldier. And this character that's a soldier had to kill some people who were like objectively doing some really bad things. And he was like just wallowing in self-pity about it. And he was just like, woe is me. Oh no, my soul's forever damned. I'm going to be a sad boy for life. Like and I'm like, dude, this is a terrible dude. And you're just wallowing about this. And I mentioned it to some people and they were like, yeah, we were mentioning that scene the other day. And people were talking about how much it like made them cry. And like, they were just felt so bad. And I was like, not me, man.
You would have just exterminated them fools. Never thought about it again.
Well, I'm not a soldier that's been soldiering for decades. Like I would probably feel that way, but I'm not that character. So like, it's just not the same thing.
Come on, Kyle. Just because you're soldiering for a bunch doesn't mean you can suddenly just avoid the emotional impact of killing horrible people. Hi, Vess.
Hi, Boomhauer. I am only half Canadian, Evie, by the way. I was born in the States, but also Tim Hortons has bad coffee, so that's the main
Yeah,
reason.
they've gone downhill.
Yeah, they used to be better. They changed their coffee.
So Canadian now Tim Hortons just exploits nostalgia to still have people, and just that there's lots of them to still have people buy their stuff, and they're kind of sad.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen a person in years say that like genuinely like Tim Hortons coffee. They just kind of it's like a habit.
I'm Kyle, and that's Jake.
You can tell that I'm Jake because I don't have legs.
Yes, exactly. Wait, but they can't see that Kyle, do in fact have legs.
What are you talking about, dude? I talked to you like right before bed, and then I went to sleep, and a whole night went by. Go to sleep, man.
Yeah, it's been like 10 hours. What are you talking about? We both slept. Neither of us stayed up all night. Also, why is that bringing up for Kyle, since it's like talk to me at the same time? What's going on?
I talked to him later than you because I posted some stuff about. Have you seen King of the Hill? Do you know who Boomhauer is?
No.
Oh well, you should check after because I was talking. Because remember on Discord, I tried to imitate my internal monologue for Vess, which is just like really fast talking.
Oh
and then
no, I did see that.
And then I did realize that it's Boomhauer from. So I posted that in Sarah's Discord. It's like, Dangle man, talk about that Dangle, talk about Dangle. Peters won't help you, Dangle man. And I'm like, that's exactly how I imagined Vess.
Yeah, okay,
speaking.
I see all of this now. So I'd like to know you did talk to him later than me, but like I think I was maybe still in the Discord talking to other people. So
okay.
Whatever.
Evie is going to be reading Assassin's Quest again after she finishes Don Quixote.
Okay. Good decision.
Legs are an important indicator, as we all know. One series I wanted to ask you about is Long Price Quartet. You finished the first book like a couple months ago.
Yeah, I know. I need to continue it. Don't tell Alan. I think he hasn't noticed because I haven't been talking about stuff long enough. And if he notices, he's going to really be like, he's not going to get off my back about that. But yes, I need to continue. I just keep going to each month being like, this is the stuff that I'm definitely reading. And then I keep being slow. And I keep not having time for next Long Price Quartet book. There's been 2 books that have been waiting, because there was a book that was waiting for even longer, which is Paladin of Souls by Bejeweled. and that took a long time. But now, like, when I have a spare slot to do it, we are doing a Betrayal in Winter. Yeah.
Is that the second one?
I think that's the second one. I hope that's the second one.
Pete, I don't know. The only series that is harder to remember which book is which is Realm of the Elderlings. And then
Assassin's Apprentice, Royal Assassin, Assassin's Quest, Ship of
I know, but
Life,
you've
The
read
Magic
them.
Ship of
What?
Destiny, Fool's Errand, The Golden Fool, Fool's Fate, Dragon,
What?
Keeper Dragon, Haven,
That
City
was
of Dragons,
close.
Blood of Dragons, Fool's Assassin, Fool's Quest, Assassin's Fate.
This is your favorite author, and you almost got the Rain Wilds wrong. Hey, Sarah, thanks for joining us.
You know what? Shut up.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I'd have to literally Google which one is the second book, but I'll probably read it next month. I really liked it. I thought it was really good.
I mean, there's only 4 long Price Quartet books, but they don't go in the correct order of the seasons.
In orders that,
I know.
Like, it's buck wild.
Yeah, it should go, like, the first book is summer, so it should go like, fall, winter, spring.
I do know A Price of Spring is the final one. I do know that. It's winter.
Should I detract an entire like a quarter star from each book because they're not in order? Well, not Shadow and Summer, because the start is arbitrary. You can start wherever you want.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think Betrayal in Winter, we're starting down a quarter star because it's not in chronological order.
Also,
Sarah, what's up?
I thought it was really funny in your review where you were like, why are they using hands to measure, like, hands from the sun to measure time? What if you just had really big hands? Why?
It skips seasons starting in summer. But why? Yeah, but why though?
Listen, Evie, we shouldn't have to do that work for Daniel Abraham. I feel like he should be doing it for us. So why have you not been posting enough videos for me, Jake?
I don't know. I just,
just been getting swole, hitting that gym.
Swole-ish.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just haven't been like, I want to make a video, and I mean, it's not like it's my job or I get
Anitha, I work night times.
But yeah, why? Yeah, I mean, I just haven't been like, I'm gonna go make that video, so I haven't. It's not funny thing is I actually don't do that much arms because I'm kind of lazy, and I'm just going like I'm like, wait, if I do arms, then I have to spend time on an exercise that's only doing like one thing. Ain't nobody got time for that. I'll do arms when I'm doing bigger exercises. But yeah, obviously, getting there without legs is a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, well, as long as it's wheelchair accessible.
Yeah, exactly.
This joke is not politically correct. I wish if someone had allowed a joke to go off, it would have been a more politically correct.
Hey, you started this joke.
I know. I really thought it would be a one-time thing. I don't know, man.
I mean, I think this one you can't blame other people. I think this one you're gonna have to take. I think this one you are kind of the problem.
Where you been, Jake?
I've been in Vancouver still, mostly. I just haven't been making videos except a random 1 minute one because
I thought short.
Yeah, it was so it's because on Wondershare it was like 59.4 seconds, but for some reason YouTube adds a second, so YouTube is like it's 60.4 seconds, and if it's under a minute, it automatically becomes a short. I thought it was going to be a short. I'm very sad.
I mean, it was a good video though. It would have been a good short.
I decided Bookborns just wasn't tilting enough, and I decided, you know what, I think I can make ones.
Bookborn messaged me and she was like, I need one for Game of Thrones. And I was like, oh, there's a lot. And I was like, you know what? Just say Bran has the most interesting story of all, but say exactly that. Do not change it. Do not ad-lib it. You have to say Bran has the most interesting story of all. So that was me. Are you done with school?
I mean, my idea, I was going to kind of do a Song of Ice and Fire one, but it was kind of too long. And it was just like, this is great.
You should redo the video, but as not a short, so you can do more stuff.
Do all of them, yeah. I had a GGK one as well that actually I recorded but got cut because it made it over a minute. which was like, this is if you want to be a snob but don't quite have it in you to read real literature. Which hurt to say a little bit, but whatever.
Yeah, I could totally see it. Are you done with school yet? Evie wants to know.
Yes, I'm trying to find people to pay me more right now, and it's a long process, and I'm doing that instead of making videos. So if you
That's fair.
all want to set up bots to watch my videos a ton so they make a bunch of money, which you'll need a bunch because I only select skippable ads at the start. So I'm going to need a lot of views to make a reasonable amount of money. Then I can make more videos because I'll have more time because I won't have to be finding people to pay me more.
That's fair. Yeah. You didn't get your degree though yet? Like you have one more year?
No, I got my degree.
Oh,
I
congratulations!
have a degree.
I didn't know
Yes.
that. Congrats. That's
Go
awesome.
me.
Yeah, and in economics, right?
Yeah, with an accidental minor in philosophy because I kept taking philosophy electives.
I have an accidental minor in history. I understand.
Yeah, you just keep taking electives, and then it's like you check what you need for the minor one day, and you're like, huh.
I only need one more of these. Actually, so I only need 3 more classes for my degree, and so I'm going to try and go back in September. But it's really irritating because I switched universities from here to go to Winnipeg, and then a couple of my credits didn't transfer, so I had to take more classes in Winnipeg, and then I found out that because I'd taken most of my original psych courses in Brandon, then I didn't have enough for a major. I had to like take more classes there. So we ended up moving back here. So I'm like, great, I can just get my degree. Like I have more than enough credits. I can go back for like a class or whatever. But they added an Indigenous Studies course, like that every degree has to take. So I have to take that. And then they randomly decided that my Roman history class does not count as a history class. It counts as classics.
Okay.
And I was like, but can I use it for my history minor? And they're like, no. And I'm like, but
it's a history class. Like
Roman
clearly.
history is in fact history. And they're like, but it says classics. I'm like, but all I learned was history in that class. And they're like, can't help you. So I have to take another history course, which is really annoying, but I'm almost on my degree.
So Evie, books that have economic stuff in them, you'd think I'd be like, yay, economics. Let's analyze it. But then I'm like, this feels like work.
All right, everybody's congratulating you. While we're congratulating Jake, it is his birthday tomorrow. I don't know if he wants people to tell that, but I was going to say it anyway.
Yeah, so I'm going to need you to edit that out. It's a good thing we're not live. No, I don't care.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yes, well, it's my birthday.
So you're having a good week. You get to meet me. That's the highlight of your week.
That's definitely the highlight. Absolutely.
And then you get to turn,
No, who cares about the birthday?
Or 19, whatever. How old are you?
Yeah, I think I might be like 15 or something. Who knows?
Yeah. It is made up. It's made up because this book right here is actually what it's based on. This is fake Roman history.
Well, that's Byzantine history, which obviously isn't Rome. It's Rome. It's not Rome enough that Alan's like, boo, the Byzantines. And I'm like, that's...
Wait, Anitha, when's your birthday? Is it the 22nd or is it today? It must be the 22nd.
Potentially happy birthday.
Well, okay, so we are also one day apart because my birthday is on the 23rd. So it goes Jake, Anitha, Kyle, if that's the case. Wow, look at that.
Yeah. And then there's also, not on this, but on the Discord, who he was talking yesterday, there was Chris, who for a while when he actually read books, it was joked that we were the same person because like if you go to Goodreads and then in common, it's like 95% in common. And his birthday's also June 21st.
And my dad's birthday is also today. So
what? Okay. All right, everyone. We're having a party. It's everyone's birthday. Everyone meet me in Vancouver tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah,
it was nice. I don't know about nice. When growing up, like my dad and I would just always celebrate our birthdays together on the 22nd. We would just have like a really big party on the carnival. So like the whole carnival would basically come. It was always a good time. And then I got older and I was just like, these people aren't as cool as an entire carnival.
You just averaged out your birthday. You were like, June 23rd, June 20th, whatever.
Yeah, maybe. But you know what? Anitha and I have a lot of differing opinions. So I don't know if this works. But Jake and I do have pretty similar opinions. I think Jake, Bookborn, and Scott, the Bald Booktuber, are the 3 people whose book opinions match mine the most. Like, apart from you hating or not loving one of my favorite books, we pretty much
Oh, The
agree.
Stand. I was trying to figure
Yeah.
out what book it was, and it's like The Stand, and I was like,
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
Yeah. You just need to read it better. You
I'll try, but Stephen King could have written it better, so
it's written fine.
I'd like to apologize to the Stand fans. But actually, I'm not sorry, and I was lying.
It's okay. You can be strongly opinionated too, Anita. That's fine.
Well, I'm actually a coward. I'm only strongly opinionated on the internet. Kyle's about to find when he meets me in person. I actually don't talk in person. I'm just silent. You know.
That's okay. We'll get you to talk. Most of my friends are pretty silent, so I have practice.
Also, something you should know about me is that I'm a pathological liar and just make things up, including that I don't talk in person.
Okay.
So it was the bigger, uncut edition of The Stand. Okay, that's genius.
This is really good. For anybody that would be listening, Luna Song said, Jake only hates The Stand because he has no legs and can, in fact, not stand.
I can still take a stand metaphorically, though, but also that's brilliant.
So, in The Stand miniseries from the 90s, my wife and I watched it. My wife has watched both versions of The Stand, and she doesn't love the Stephen King book that she read, so she's probably just never going to read the book, and that's fine. But we watched the 90s version of The Stand, and there's the part where somebody who says the titular line is talking about it, and they really emphasize it. So she's like, "You must stand," and then it cuts to like her face or whatever, and then she's like, "Stand," and it's just so melodramatic, like 90s miniseries style. That to this day, that was like 5 years ago. To this day, my wife and I, whenever we hear the word "stand," we just go. Like, it's such a weird scene.
We can all agree that I can metaphorically make my stand.
You can metaphorically make your stand.
Now, whether I will, that's what I mean. Making
so this is like interesting because it's really hard to find the original version now. Like it's like Stephen King's like, no, I don't want that one to be out there, and it's like, but
Stan fans sometimes get mad at me when I say this, but I wish I'd read the shorter version.
I wish you had too. You didn't know me at the time that you read it. I would have.
The thing is, I don't know if it would have been predictable because normally I want things to be longer. I'm like, give me 400,000 word Jadelings.
True, and also your opinions on The Stand are not that it's too long. It's that this particular kind of things in it bothered you, and then the book went too long. So then, like,
it's just the individual scenes that I know are added are on average scenes that I don't like as much as the rest of the book. So brought down my enjoyment some amount.
Hi, old lady beside Anita.
Hello. Welcome.
I mean, it's interesting that in The Stand, it has maybe one of my least favorite chapters I've ever read, and it's only in the extended edition. And so we were talking about how you and Bookborn are two of the people that I am the most similar with. Bookborn DNF'd The Stand. It's one of only 2 books she's ever DNF'd in her life. Well, I don't know in her life, but it's one of the 2 books she ever talks about having DNF'd. And she DNF'd during that chapter, and I was like, oh man, you got to read the original version without that chapter in it, because that chapter is the worst.
It wasn't great.
Yeah, I hate it a lot. I don't like it at all. 50 cents, that's nice.
The Stand does do a good job of title dropping, and I love me a good title drop. That's one of the things. If I read about it, if you have a good title drop, I'm like,
yeah. I mean, I actually
the Grace of Kings. Let's go.
Well, is that even in the Grace of Kings? I feel like that's in.
It's just in other ones more, but it's in the Grace of Kings. It's but it's an even better title drop for the Grace of Kings. The best Grace of Kings title drop is in Speaking Bones.
Yes.
Because the best of a lot of things is in Speaking Bones. Because read the Dandelion Dynasty, everyone.
You should all read the Dandelion Dynasty. It is great. I think she's probably a stranger, Evie, because it's just a lady that's sitting there. But
who's just maybe not enjoying our content, who's watching the content at least, maybe out of boredom.
Bookborn, we were just talking about you. Did I summon you? Did you hear what I said?
No, we didn't. We said all nice things.
Yeah, we didn't say anything bad. That's but true. It's happening.
I'm trying. No, listen. If she thinks we said mean things, she'll go back and watch the video to find it, and you'll get more runtime. Okay.
Oh, okay. We were trashing you the whole time. It's happening.
No, we
at
were only
11 on
trashing you for
Tuesday.
an individual minute, so you have to find that minute. Okay. All right.
It's happening early because I work in the evening when all of these other fools have free time. And Jake is out of school, so it worked out for him. And I'm going to Vancouver in like a day, so I can't do the weekend. I say nice things about you, just only to your face, so it doesn't count. Yes, I think
lots of neutral things about, but we're just factual statements. Bookborn DNF the stand. Interpret that as you will.
Well, anybody who knows me know that's an inherently negative.
Yeah, but I might not consider it inherently negative. Yeah. I might be like, good job.
I think Evie will be the type of person who loves the Veiled Throne the most. That's what
that would totally be an Evie thing to do, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I honestly do, and I don't even say that because it's my least favorite. Like, I'm not like she thinks opposite as me. I just mean like I think the elements in it will be the things that she really likes. I imagine you will love that book.
So Bookborn, in context, I'd like to note I don't like the stand that like I'm like gave the stand like 5 out of 10.
Yes. This is why I said it, is that we were talking about how Jake doesn't like it that much, and I said there's like my least favorite chapter in that book. And then I said, ironically enough, like the 3 of us usually agree on books, but you DNF'd it on that chapter. And so the 2 of you don't like the stand, and it's like the one thing I disagree with both of you on.
So if one of us could manage to like the stand, would we have the clear title of person you most agree with?
Still might be Scott. I don't know.
Like Scott likes the stand.
The thing is, Scott gave this book 4 stars, and I'm almost positive I will not give this book 4 stars. So he might be knocked off his throne as guy who has the best opinions. We will see.
Veiled Throne is great.
You should retry The Stand, Bookborn. It is not the best storyline, Pete, but I do think that Evie will think that.
Well, it has half of the best storyline.
Yeah.
That's completed in Speaking Bones. That is the best storyline.
Yes.
And just like one of the best storylines in anything. So
if you loved the second half of Grace of Kings, I think the likelihood of you liking the rest of the series is pretty high. So hopefully it works for you.
Okay, wait. How much? So you were liking the book? Usually, if I'm DNFing a book, it's like Usually, it's that I'm like annoyed, and then one chapter like drives me over the edge, and I'm just like, I don't care anymore.
Listen, I'm gonna speak for Bookborn on this because I have gotten mad at her about this book several times. She's just a baby. That's really what it comes down to. She
normally when
she read one scene she didn't like, and she was like, "Nope, no backbone."
I feel like that was not an accurate representation of Bookborn's position.
I'm not reading any right this moment. I'm finishing Memories of Ice, but when I finish it, I'm going to be reading Lord of Emperors, which I'm very, very excited for. I really, really liked Sailing to Sarantium. I thought that book was awesome. Sailing to Sarantium is so good. Like, I can't believe how much I like that book. Like, I know everybody says Lord of Emperors is like way better, but like, man, Sailing to Sarantium, like, I just inhaled that book. Like, I didn't want to do anything else. I just was like, I am reading this book. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
And wonderful. I'm mad that Alex and Jordan were like, we're going to read Under Heaven in June. So I was like, well, I won't read 2 at once. I'll read Under Heaven. And then they DNF'd Under Heaven. I could just spend all this time reading reading Lord of Emperors.
Well, you can start now. That's okay. You can be reading Lord of Emperors while you're in Vancouver. And then if you don't want to talk to me and want to read, like, I'll understand. Compared to if you're reading something else, I'll be like, well, this is rude. But if it's Lord of Emperors, I'll be like, fair.
I always pick fights. It's just what I do, although not really, but people think I do. Oh, you haven't read any? Oh my God, Pete, you're gonna love GGK. Don't start with Tigana because only basic people start with Tigana.
Yeah, it's true. You don't want to be basic.
I like the easy thing to say would be to start with Under Heaven, having not read it, just because of how much you liked Dandelion Dynasty. But from what I've actually read, I think you should start with Lines of Alderaan. I think you will really like that book.
I mean, you can start with a lot of them. If only there was a video that went through the pros and cons of starting with each position that someone, not necessarily me, specifically made because they got sick of answering this question. Well, the most non-normie place to start with GGK. So you just want to be like the most of a hipster?
Isabel.
Don't know. That's just bad. You want like the most non-normie that is still like a good place to start. A Brightness Long Ago. Brightness Long Ago is the least normie place to start.
Yeah, I think so. I don't see people start that.
And you can start with A Brightness Long Ago, and A Brightness Long Ago is brilliant. I don't know what you would enjoy. Know. I can't tell. So I need more data. Can you go read GGK and then tell me if you like it, and then I can like improve the algorithm in my brain.
Yeah,
on whether you like it or
not. So I think that you will like it, Anitha, because of the stuff that I do know you like. Like you really like Daniel Abrahams and KJ Parker, and like I just feel like the slow, methodical parts of GGK books and like the prose will really work for you. But I could be wrong. You could find it boring because some people find GGK boring and they are wrong.
That's the thing, like, that makes me harder to recommend GGK is like a lot of time when people don't like things, I'm like, I totally see where you're coming from. And now I can adjust my recommendations to this based on which people I think will have this issue. But like a lot of time people have issues with GGK and I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah. So I would say you are one of the best recommenders that I have seen on this platform. And because recommending something is an art form. And I don't mean being like, I really like this book. All 12 of you people should read this book because I think it appeals to you. You are very good at improving your mental algorithm and being like, this person's going to like this, but I think this part of this book is not going to work for them. So people should listen to Jake more often is what I'm saying.
I agree. Can we actually get a clip of that? And can that be a short, please? I'd like to make that request. Eddie, can we get a GIF of that actually? Can we get a people should listen to Jake more often GIF? I'd really, really appreciate that. It'd be doing me a solid. Thanks. Also, Under Heaven is a great place to start.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Under Heaven. It's kind of become a meme how much I just almost start it and then don't start it at this point.
It's going to be really funny if you read it last and it's like your third least favorite.
Yeah. I think after Lord of Emperors, I'm going to read Finnevar because it's all available on, like a bunch of his books are free on Audible. And it's one where I have lower commitment and investment to it, so I could just listen to it and not feel like I'm missing out. So that'll probably be next.
Recommending Finnevar scares me. I never know if people are gonna like hate it or not.
Well, Pranav like really liked it, didn't he?
No, Pranav was like, and then liked book 3. But no, Pranav didn't. I like it more than Pranav. That's our biggest GGK disagreement. Like all our other ratings are the same. Remember, you guys thought you were like, we're gonna need you to each tell each other the scores separately, because our score for like every other GGK book is hilariously similar. But no, I like Finnevar more than Pranav does.
Oh, interesting. I did not know that.
Thank you, Evie. I need that gift in my life. I appreciate you.
That'll be the first time anybody's ever gifted me, and it's about saying that Jake should read, or people should listen to Jake more. But it is
worthy inclusion.
You know, like it. People have strengths, and that's one of your strengths, and I feel like you don't get enough credit for it. So there you go.
I appreciate that. I'm definitely not going to spam that and annoying enough. Oh, Bookborn finished memory. Okay.
Oh my God, it is Tuesday. You are supposed to wait until Wednesday. Although I did say earlier that I might finish it on Tuesday or tonight, and everybody was like, "You can't read 200 pages in a day." I'm like, "Yeah, you were probably right." But now I will. Damn it.
They actually didn't say you can't. They were amazed that you could, and
That's
then
true.
you were like, I may have just cashed a check that I cannot. That might bounce. I might not finish it today.
Pranav is barely around, but sometimes around. Hey, Compassion.
Let's go.
Bookborn, earlier, Jake was asking me how you felt about the book, and I felt like I summed up your feelings on it, but do you want to give a quick synopsis of your feelings to see if I accurately represented you? But
yeah, he said you hated the book, but really liked the Children of the Dead Seed plotline. That's what he said. He said that's the part that stopped you from DNFing it. Would you say that's accurate?
That is not what I said, for the record. Yeah. Part 2 was a struggle for me too. That was where Josh DNF'd, I think, is part 2.
Goodbye. Have a good day. Happy
Bye,
almost
Anita.
birthday.
Yeah.
Happy, like, not quite birthday Eve. It's my birthday Eve. It's your birthday,
Yeah.
like Eve. Yeah, that's the only part of the book you like. That's what Kyle said.
I will say, so there's like a particular I think it's chapter 19, and the Children of the Dead Sea had been around already, but Bookboard messaged me and she's like, "You need to get to chapter 19. This chapter is so gross. This is the worst. This is the grossest. It is so bad. I don't like it at all." And then I was like mentally prepping chapter 19 to be like one of the worst, most disgusting, unpleasant experiences of my life. And then I read it and I was like, yeah, that was a cool chapter. Like, there was lots of fighting and there was one line that was a little gross, and that was the one line that really wigged her out. Yeah, I did tell her she was a baby.
I don't know what to call Bookborn or her name, whatever. But when you say that he's not giving you compassion freely and in abundance, potentially, maybe.
I was also horrified by it. I just get horrified and then I move along. It is a terrible. It is one of the darkest things I've ever read. It isn't described as horribly. So
I wish I remembered which specific part of Memories of Ice you're talking about.
Here, I'll private message you.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, there you go.
Hello, Discord. Do you want to?
Oh no, private chat in the chat.
Oh, obviously, yeah. Yeah, that happened. That was a thing.
It was not a paragraph. It was 2 sentences at most.
I'm assuming Icky is Ictovian, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I will. I don't read carefully because I speed read, as everybody likes to know. But
yeah, Reddy, you're gonna get to that page, and it's gonna change your entire life. You're gonna realize that compassion is good, which you hadn't realized until now. Yeah. I can't remember how to spell people's names.
I remember how to spell his name because that one's pretty easy to me. But like Bochalan or like Boucha, like there's Corbel Broach and his buddy Bouchalau. I don't know how to say his name.
It has a series of novellas named after him, but I can't spell it to Google the series of novellas. So
yeah.
I wonder if I just Google like Steven Erikson novella series. I think Bouchalane and Corbel Broach.
Yeah. There's a bunch of novellas about them, and I think they are totally mid. So we'll see.
I mean, I enjoyed them in Memories of Ice, but from what I've seen of the novellas, I think I might not like them at all and might hate them.
Really? Why?
Passion. Erikson, I feel like in them, when Erikson just like, sometimes I feel like Erikson just doesn't care about the reading experience and does whatever he wants. And some authors, when they do that, it works for me. And for Erikson, I just get annoyed when he does whatever he wants. And I feel like from what I've seen, Bouchalane is the most Erikson doing whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just going to piss me off. And I'm just going to be like, why did you write it like this? This could have been an enjoyable, normal series of novellas. And instead it was a choice. That's kind of what I think is going to happen. But that being said, I'm also like totally wrong all the time. So very often I'll go into a book series being like kind of worried I won't like it. And then like 10 pages in, I'll be like, this rules. Let's go.
So, have you read any of the like Asselmont stuff, or have you just done the main 10?
I have just done the main 10 and the God is Not Willing.
Are you planning to read them at any time in like the relative future, or is it kind of just
at some point in the future? Yeah. I don't know exactly when, but yeah, I'm gonna read everything at some point.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna read Night of Knives while Bookborn has her like 5-month decompression from Memories of Ice. I asked her, I was like, "Do you want to try and read up to the end of the 5th book this year?" So we did like half of Malazan in 1 year, She's like, you can't ask me that when I'm in the middle of Memories of Ice. You have to wait until I miss this series again. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, Memories of Ice is weird because like all the people who like don't actually talk to Malazan fans think Memories of Ice is everyone's favorite. But Memories of Ice is most people's like fourth favorite or something.
Yeah, I thought it was one of people's favorites, but I think like Bone Hunters and the Crippled God. In my perception, people like Bone Hunters and the Crippled God more, at least.
Those are probably the two most common favorites. I think Memories of Ice might be a thing where like it's the one that's in almost everyone's top half. So I think like it maybe averages out near the highest. I think the Bone Hunters is probably the one. And yeah, the Bone Hunters and the Crippled God would have probably the best like average reception. Reaper's Gale is not the best, although the final act of Reaper's Gale is maybe the best.
Reaper's Gale is the one that broke Mike.
The first half is
not the Mike that's in here, Mike's book reviews. Although he's reading Toll the Hound soon, so.
But you know what? Reaper's Gale does have some incredible things.
You know, after Memories of Ice, I will not have the audiobooks anymore. So my entire experience of this series might change. It's entirely possible that Ralph Lister tricked me into thinking I really liked his narration, and actually it's making me harder to attach. So maybe House of Chains will be where I'm just like, this series is amazing, and I totally get it, and compassion. But we shall not know until I do that.
Midnight Tides is amazing. It's a worthy choice.
Yeah, that's so interesting about Malazan is that like people generally don't agree. Like I feel that way about Neil Gaiman too. It's like if you get 10 Neil Gaiman fans in a room and just ask them what their like top 3 are, you'll obviously just by the numbers you're gonna get a lot of repeats, but like you're gonna get a lot of people that just like widely believe like one is the best and like one is like if you do like a top 3 and a bottom 3, I should say. And I think that's a sign of an author that's just like very versatile.
Yeah, although I do see some people being like, the fact that like no one can agree on the best one like shows how good it is. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I think it shows that it's stylistically kind of different, but I mean, isn't being able to write a book that everyone universally thinks is amazing like a pretty good skill? Like,
yeah,
hey, what's up? A Storm of Swords? That's just like everyone's favorite. Like, that's probably means it's pretty good.
Ben finished A Feast for Crows, and he's like, "Yeah, I think I like this more than A Storm of Swords." But I'm like, "Feel like
go read Storm of Swords again, Ben."
Yeah,
and then like come back with the correct opinion that A Storm of Swords is, of course, the best.
Yeah, I think it's just because Ben really likes not knowing where the plot goes, and Storm of Swords' big moments are in the show, so that would dampen it a little bit.
Wait, Pete, do you mean like T-Hawk? Because Troll is my favorite character in Midnight Tides. I need character names, Pete. Because no, Troll.
Midnight Tides is like a prequel. I don't care. It's like a whole, not a prequel, but it's like a whole different timeline. You can say names. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So yeah, the reason Midnight Tides is my favorite is because the Troll, I forget his brothers, Troll. Anyway, the Sengar brothers, Troll, Fear, and Rulad is my favorite single book plot line in Malazan Book of the Fallen. And it's like not that close. The TL stuff's good as well.
That starts in Midnight Tides?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So far, I like the Bridge Burners the most. Although, I don't... And Erickson, like, tips his hat to this problem a couple times in Memories of Ice, but I don't think, like... There's all these super, super, super crazy powerful people who have lived 100,000 years and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, they can do all sorts of crazy stuff. And then there's just the Bridge Burners. There's just 37 dudes just hanging out, and they're just like, we'll help you fight. And I'm just like, I think these guys are outmatched, and I don't understand why people like think they're so good. Like I don't think the narrative has not convinced me that they're worthwhile.
I can answer this in exactly one word. Are you ready?
Okay.
Explosions.
Yeah, but I just feel like these powerful people could also do explosions.
Yeah, but magic is hard. And grenades are a lot easier if you have them in plentiful supply.
So they aren't actually, their skill doesn't matter. It's just that they happen to have brands.
Well, their skill at not blowing themselves up and the skill of blowing up the things that they want to blow up sets them apart.
Okay.
Blowing things up, very easy. Blowing the correct things up, very difficult.
Okay. I I
Anyway.
love the bridge burners. I just mean in terms of the narrative placement, I'm just like, what? And then like, there was like a council of people, and they're all just like, what are these schlubs doing here? And I was like, at least he pointed it out because it's pretty noticeable to me.
That's what they keep winning. They keep being like, people probably how they started is people like, yeah, whatever, the bridge burners, and then they got their ass kicked, and they were like, who?
Can you write the fan fiction of this, Pete? This would be incredible.
Certainly have affected the plot,
Yeah.
especially because Book Gimli is incredible.
Book Gimli is incredible. I need to finish my reread of Lord of the Rings. I was gonna do it with like Jimmy when he did his read along, and I did Fellowship. And it was a great, besides Tom Bombadil, and then I just fell off of it because I've read Lord of the Rings like 5 times, and I was this is
so.
not
By the
a
way,
necessity.
Going back to Midnight Tides, from Malazan, you were allowed to dislike everything else, and I will not get mad at you, except Troll Sengar. If you dislike Troll Sengar,
Well, Jake, it's rare that I disagree with you. So even when I'm like, I'm for sure going to disagree and think that Dreams of the Dying has poor writing. I was just like, no, I'm still on your side.
or you thought that Dresden wasn't going to get as substantially better, and we got him, boys. We got him.
Yeah, Dresden is so good, and I was actually I was thinking about that because okay, so for anybody who hasn't seen your Dresden chart of like fandom, do you want to briefly recap it real quick?
I will read it because I have it pinned on like every Discord.
Okay.
All right, everyone. This is the Circle of Dresden. I wrote this in the comment section of a Michael Nip YouTube video randomly on the smartest day of my life, where I had clairvoyance and saw into the fabric of the universe.
I know the reference.
Anyway, it's 4 stages. Stage 1 is skepticism. These books are fun, but I don't see it being like among my favorite series. It's annoying that like everyone is just like, but they get so much better. I kind of have doubts. It's possible that this just isn't the series for me, and that this was just written for other people. Stage 2 is false peak. The skepticism, like these typically follow the same books, but some people, there's variations. So some people, skepticism is very short to non-existent. Sometimes skepticism is longer, but typically false peak happens somewhere in between like books 5 through 9 or 10. 5 through 9 is usually false peak. Sometimes people hit false peak really early. Sometimes people hit false peak on like 3 or even 1. But false peak is, okay, fine. That was a quality book. I see why people love the series. I'm going to finish the series. Hopefully it like keeps up this quality. This is the stage that will result in maximum smugness from the Dresden fans who you are interacting with.
Yes.
You are going to have to deal with people just being incredibly smug at this point, but too bad, deal with it. You get to be smug in the future. So there you go. Stage 3 is loud screaming. It's self-explanatory. It's just loud screaming. This typically takes place in the same book, but can take place early. But it's,
some people hit it in 10 or 11, but
yeah,
for me it was,
yeah.
I thought I hit false peak hard in book 11, and I was like, this is it. I get it. I totally get it. And then book 12 was loud screaming. I was like,
no, you hit false peak with Proven Guilty. You actually almost quoted me by accident in your review.
Yeah, that's true.
If we bring up, let's just if only we had editing, we could bring up all of Kyle's reviews as he went through the stages of Dresden, and he enjoyed my clairvoyant understanding of reality. And
yeah, it was exact. It was exact.
Whatever. No. Anyway. And then stage 4, very important. Stage 4 is annoyance. And it's annoyance that now the people in skepticism don't trust you when you say it gets better, because you used to be in the skepticism group getting along with each other, and this was your people. Yeah, and now it's like you found the water, and you're like telling people like there's water over here. And now they're like, no, there isn't water over here. We don't believe you either. And you're like, but I was in the exact same position as you. And I was like, there's no water over there. But then I went over there and yeah, there's water. And now they're like, no, we don't believe you. So stage 4 is annoyance. You're like, why can I not articulate this? Why does no one believe me? They should learn from me because I should be trustworthy because I
I
was
was
in the
one of
same
them.
position
Yeah.
as them, but they still don't. Anyway, so that is the circle of Dresden. Skepticism through annoyance. It happens almost universally.
Yeah, it's very, very rare that it does not like
it's not universal. Sometimes, people will randomly be weird and not like Battleground. That's fine. And then a dip. And sometimes people just won't like Dresden. It's okay. Even a series that gets books that are very good are not loved by everyone. But it happens in that order, pretty much verbatim, like a shocking percentage of the time.
Tall Guy Reads, Alex, just went through that cycle. And so it was I finally got to be smug. He read he was on book 7 and then he just plowed through a couple of them. And I think it was Small Favor where he's like, wow, these books are really good. I get it. And I'm like, no, you don't get it. And then he just, read Changes in a Day. And I'm like, yep, now you get it.
Welcome to Team Smugness.
It's funny because so we have a group chat with Jordan from Jordan Reads. And I was reading, so what Mike's saying here is I was manically updating during reading Battleground, which was the craziest reading experience of my life. And I was also updating them. I was like, this book is incredible. It's amazing. It is the most epic thing I've ever seen. And Jordan DNF the series after the first book originally. And then Alex was on book 6. And they're like, I don't understand how this is possible. And they're like, I feel like you're in a cult, Kyle. I don't. And I'm like, they were just super skeptical. And then now Alex is like, Jordan, you have to read more Dresden. And so she's like, you guys inducted him into the cult.
Dread it, run from it. The circle of Dresden arrives all the same.
Yeah, people do drop in stage 1, and I try to convince them not to, although I totally get it.
Yeah, and also you have to sometimes you have to see why they dropped it.
Yes, yeah.
If they dropped it because they dislike Harry Dresden, they're probably just not going to like the series. If they didn't like it because it wasn't that good, it's not that good, so it'll be fine. You gotta keep right out.
Jordan is reading Proven Guilty right now, and she said that she's liking it. So
right, we take that.
The biggest hurdle is the end of Proven Guilty for some people. I don't know. It almost killed Jimmy. So almost killed me.
Jimmy almost didn't make it. Yeah.
Yeah. Evie, I feel like we've been on chats before, although maybe not with Jake.
Well, Evie, you keep just everyone keeps inviting people not called me to their channel except Kyle.
Yeah, I'm the true friend over here.
Yeah, Evie keeps having all these Realm of the Elderlings chats, and just I'm not in any of them, and I'm like, that's cool. That's cool.
There's too many people who like Realm of the Elderlings now. That's the problem. The market is
definitely
saturated.
Not like I'm literally the one who caused her to read it earlier or anything. Yeah, whatever. What? I love the beginning of Cold Days.
I don't want to speak for him. He could have changed his mind or said something on his Discord. But the last I saw him say is that he didn't like the end of Proven Guilty, which I agree with, hardcore. And that it killed his enthusiasm. But I don't know if he officially DNF'd it. Yeah, the beginning of Cold Days. So I really like Cold Days, but I do think it has a lot of problematic elements. I can get why somebody would have some problems with that. Yeah, Jake, what do you say to that?
1, I don't know if I recall this, and 2, I almost guarantee it was I tried to make it and couldn't, and then I guess you decided to take that personally and never invite me to anything ever again, instead of just being I guess Jake was busy. So, whatever.
This is the origin of Booktooth beef. Look out for Jake and Evie to drop diss tracks coming next month.
Yeah, the Evie diss track is coming out. I saw this coming because I had another moment of clairvoyance that similar to the Circle of Dresden, and I knew that all of this would happen. I have the script of this entire video in front of me. I'm actually just reading from it.
Oh yeah. So this isn't like your most brilliant day. This is you trying to chase your most brilliant day.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. Yes.
White people can rap, Evie. It's 2023.
Theoretically, they can, but I can't.
Yeah.
So they can also not rap, which is what I'm
true.
going to do.
They are excellent at not rapping. Yeah, that's one of their skills.
I'm really good at not rapping.
Yeah.
It might be my best skill.
No, I'm good at rapping. Like I'm not good at rapping, but I'm good at rapping.
I know what you mean. I don't know if they know what you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it's a tribute to his most brilliant day.
Yes, that's correct.
I wish I was Eminem. I know, like, an absurd amount of Eminem lyrics. Like, I used to be able to rap all of Rap God, and then I fell off of it because if you don't practice doing it, it's like very hard. But I did learn it.
So would you describe yourself as washed up?
Yes, I am in fact a washed up rapper. I also know a lot of Tech Nine songs because basically I really like fast rap. So anything that is a really fast song, I try to learn it because I really like the act of learning fast raps. But then if you don't do them for a while, then like you lose the exact flow of the song, and then it's really hard to do unless like you're actually talented, and I'm not. So
I can relate to not actually being talented.
What? This doesn't make any sense to me.
I'd have no idea what Beat's talking about, but
yeah, me either.
So are we now going to talk about how you became the most misinterpreted person on BookTube?
Yes, we can. Because
I feel like
I need my Jake defender over here.
Yeah, like y'all, he's not that hard to understand. Like he ends up in arguments with people where they misinterpret him and like think he's really angry all the time. And like it's really not that difficult to understand Kyle, guys. Like you guys are acting like this, like he's so confusing and like hard to interpret. Like, have you all tried getting good? Like, I don't know. It's just not that difficult. Almost every time I'm like, how is this the interpretation? And I feel like I need to translate from Kyle to like everyone else, but it's the same language, folks. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. So part of it is I notice a trend when I join a new Discord is when I get in the most fights with people. And the problem is because there's obviously new people, but then there's people who know me. So I join the Discord and I know like, 10 or 15 people or whatever. And so I'm talking to those people as I would on these other Discords. And then new person who doesn't know how I talk assumes that I'm just a jerk. And they're just like, so then they come at me. So then I come at them, but like not really. I'm just like explaining myself. And then it becomes this whole thing where like I just go through a cycle where I join a Discord. The cycle of Kyle. I join a Discord. Half the people on that Discord think I'm an asshole. Most of those people eventually come to understand that I'm not an asshole. A couple of those people probably just always think I'm an asshole, and what can you do? But I do try. Like I am aware that it's a communication issue, and I'm working on it.
Honestly, it's everyone else's fault. Keep doing what you're doing. By the way, Evie, I'd like to note for me losing my job, he doesn't pay me for this. So it's a
volunteer position.
Yeah, it's a volunteer position. So this would be like if you were volunteering at a charity and then it was just like, actually, no one is starving. You'd be like, yeah, no, everyone thinks Nick is like hostile, and then they talk to Nick like in voice chat, and they're like, oh, Nick isn't hostile.
This does not happen in real life. Like I'm not saying I've never like disagreed with somebody or something, but I think the way my tone, like I'm a very curious person, and I also like if I correct somebody, there's multiple ways to correct somebody on information. One is that you're being a douche, right? Like you're like, I have the right answer and you don't, and I'm gonna make sure that you know that I'm smart. And that way is a lot easier. Like people naturally assume that's the way when it's through text. If you like correct someone through text, they're more likely to think you're being a douche. But I just genuinely want people to have the right information because like I want people to correct me. If I'm saying a thing and I have the wrong information, I would rather somebody be like, no, you don't have, that's not correct. And I'd be like, oh, interesting. So that happens a lot more on Discord where people will think that I'm like being a know-it-all, but I'm like, I'm really like, you're not correct. Like it happens a lot with psych stuff. Like I'll be like, I'll do like a paragraph or something. I'm like, this is how this works, like in your brain. And people will assume I'm just being like, but I'm like, no. Like I want people to understand this so that it's better for them. And so I think with tone of voice and like, facial expressions, it's not really a problem. Like that's why it's so confusing to me that it happens on Discord, is that I'm a pleasant person. I'm agreeable. I don't know where this comes from.
Yeah, I'm gonna put for communication skills on my resume. I'll just put like, there's this guy on Discord that no one can understand what he means, and I understand what he means. So please, my reference is Kyle for communication skills. Everyone, please call this guy and be like, yeah, is Jake good communication skills? Yeah, I'm sure that'll be a good reference.
Yeah, Nick, when I first talked to you on Discord, I was like, you're so nice, like on the voice chat. And then I just pictured you as just like and see, this is the thing, is that like it happens to me too. So I understand why people do that. Like I don't take it personally that they think that I'm being a jerk, but I'm like, I wish you guys would just give me the benefit of the doubt and not think that I'm a jerk. But sometimes I'm a jerk. Like I'm not saying I've never been an ass, but I just don't think it's as often as people think.
I agree.
But yeah.
It's either very rarely or always. I can't decide which. It's one of those, though.
That I'm always an ass?
Yeah, you're either always an ass or very rarely an ass.
Oh,
There's very little in between. It's one of those.
Yeah. I just like arguing and like, but not in like a negative way. Like that's how you learn and get better. And like some people don't like to do that, and that's fine. But then they can just not answer me, and then I don't take that personally either. Like if I'm like, here's a list of things, and then that person never responds, I'm just like, they didn't want to talk about this. That's fine. Like,
I've seen your explanation so many times. I now cringe when people are like, but how could you possibly understand audiobook at that speed? You have to slow it down. I'm just like, okay, here we go again.
I am very passionate. It is the bane of my existence. Thank you, Evie. True. Jake is a jerk when he gets duped about live ships, or not duped. When people try and skip live ships.
True. Well, no, I feel sorry for them. I'm like,
is your Twitter name still Jake?
Yep. Don't skip live ship Bishop. Yep. Stop skipping books, folks. Oh, just again to clarify, if you start live ship and don't like it, you do not have to finish it. That's fine. Feel free to DNF it. Just don't skip it without even trying it. Don't just assume you'll dislike it. You might dislike it. That's fine. Just don't skip it without trying it. Yeah. It's not that hard.
See, so this is my problem, Pete, because I've been this way my whole life, but for most of that time, it's been in person or on Facebook with people that I already know. So, like, people already know I'm, like, pretty nice, and so they don't tend to get as mad. But then on Discord, I'm just like, how dare you not know this thing, you stupid idiot? And then they're like, is he calling you a stupid idiot?
Definitely don't call people a stupid idiot.
Yes, that is true. Oh, this is a good question.
So that is of all the incorrect reading orders, that's the least incorrect. Like, probably should start with Farseer, but you can start with live ship. I don't necessarily recommend it, but like it does work on its own. It's not like you're gonna be like confused because you don't have things from Farseer. You will definitely miss some things, and if you're a super genius with perfect memory, it will spoil something from Farseer, but I've never seen anyone catch it ever without reading Farseer, because it's just like a random.
I don't think they will. Like,
no one ever is going to catch it. Like, you won't. I know I don't know you. This isn't me calling you stupid. No one is smart enough. So you're not smart enough to spoil Farseer by reading live ship.
Yeah.
Unless you're the smartest person.
I wouldn't say it that concretely, but I think it would be very rare. People would have to really focus on it. And then even then they'd have to remember that line and then like read Farseer directly after. Like it would just
not going to happen. Unlikely. I promise. So yes, you can start with live ship, but also Farseer. Just saying.
Bridget on Discord also did this accidentally. She got an arc years ago of like Dragon Keeper, and she was like, I feel like the world building is just not explained at all. And like, and then she didn't know it was part of the series, but she's since gone back and reread it.
Yeah, apparently it's a thing on Book Talk where like Rain Wilds took off for a little bit, and people were like, "Do I have to read the first 3 sub-series, or can I just start with Rain Wilds?" And it's just like,
I think reading Live Ship first is fine.
yeah, it's fine.
Like the connections are. It's more so that reading Farseer first enhances like minor aspects of Live Ship. Like it makes Live Ship better, but I don't think it. Live Ship is already so good that you're just not going to know what you're missing from that. And that's another thing that I try to explain to people is that like if you skip 6 Wheel of Time books and you get to the next book, you can just infer from context based on what happened, and like you're mostly fine. People think if you don't get like every single detail of every single thing and every single moment, that like the narrative will just collapse and you'll spontaneously combust. And like people are smart. Like give them credit. This is most annoying in the Cosmere and in the or in the like Stephen King multiverse, because people think you have to read every single thing in order and catch every single Easter egg every single time, or else like why even bother? And it's like that's just not going to happen. Like people are fine. Like you can read Mistborn Era 2 without having read all of Stormlight. It's going to be okay. And people just they just get
I tell
worried.
people again, you're gonna miss things anyway. Like to catch anything, you have to read everything multiple times.
Yeah.
That's how complicated books work. I'd also like to say the other way, the thing that's like when people skip a bunch of stuff and then they tell people like, "Oh no, you can skip it. I read it. And I didn't miss anything."
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, how do you know you didn't miss anything?
Well, so I did say that but what I meant was like I didn't have any problems. I obviously like when I skipped 6 Wheel of Time books, like I
Yeah,
missed
like
lots
you
of
obviously there were things you would have catched
Yeah.
that you did not.
Yeah. So when I
based on
was reading those
skipping
books and they
2
had
million
a
words.
conversation, I would have been like, this is a better conversation because of something that happened in book 9. But it didn't like make me not understand the conversation, is what I meant. But there are people that totally do that, and they're just like, yeah, like you can totally skip these books, like it doesn't matter.
You don't
Like
miss
it didn't.
anything. I'm like, see, anyway. Also, yeah, don't worry about the Cosmere too much, folks. Like, it's fine. The
Yes,
thing
it's
that
fine.
confuses me the most, like, if you're like people who are like, I feel like now I can't read like these individual books without the other Cosmere stuff, like, because then I'll miss things. I'm like, you're gonna miss things anyway. Just like,
Yeah.
just read it and accept that you're not gonna get everything, like in one read. Like that's true of every fantasy series ever. Like, you'll be okay.
The way people talk about the Cosmere really gets people who haven't started it on a certain wavelength that like either like they're totally in for, or they're like, oh, that intimidates me. And I don't think they mean to do that. They just don't understand how it's coming across to somebody who hasn't read it. They're like, oh, like all the Cosmere connections, like, oh, the implications. But it's like, really, it's not like the example I always use is if you were to read a book and the main character goes to a bar and he talks to a bartender and he's like, hey, man, can I get a drink? And that bartender's like, hey, man, like, yeah, you can have a drink. He's like, wow, it's been a crazy day, huh? And then he's like, yeah, it has been. He's like, you wouldn't even know what happened in my day. And then he slides the drink over and then the scene continues. If you just read that book, you'd be like, yeah, you know, whatever, it's a random bartender. And you'd go on with the story and the story would still make sense to you. And if you then found out there was a novel about that bartender and you found out what happened with his day, you would not suddenly be like, well, now the whole book doesn't make sense because I don't know what happened with that bartender. You just be like, oh, well, if I wanted to know what's going on with this bartender's day, then I could read this other book. That's what it's like. But people think like you have to know every single reference or else the story doesn't make sense. And that just drives me crazy.
Wait, where did I accidentally just tell people that they're stupid? Like that they're not going to catch everything in every read? That isn't that they're stupid. That's because that's how books work. Like, that's why people reread things.
I don't understand this comment either.
And I'm slightly confused. That's a great comparison. Do you remember my annoyance about plot hole comparison? That one, yours might be even better. Like the one about cooking chicken.
Yeah, no, that's a great analogy.
That's a great comparison. I'm gonna steal that.
That's fine.
And in 4 years, I'll forget that I stole it from you, and I'll think I came up with it, and I'll think
That's
I'm
fine.
smarter than I am.
I don't. You can even have it. I don't care. We'll both say it.
Fantastic.
The main thing is I want people to understand that like you don't have to like the Lost Metal. I think fundamentally changed the way Cosmere fans talk. Because there's people that are like, wow, everything is so Cosmere now, and then there's people that are like, I hate how Cosmere everything is, and that has overtaken the discourse.
And now it's like something will happen that's like centered on like Mistborn, and people are like, that's a Cosmere thing. I don't like it. This is too much Cosmere. And I'm like, I mean, this would be the antagonist, even if it was just Mistborn. Like, what's
Yeah.
going?
I think people get in their heads about it, and then also like there's a new magic system in. It's funny because my defense is already within the Lost Metal, which is that there's a new magic system that we've never seen in that book, and it comes out and they just explain it kind of, but it's mostly just like we don't really understand how this works because we've never interacted with this magic. But sure, and then the book continues on. But then people who haven't read all of the Cosmere just assume that that's explained in another book, and so they're like, "Well, this is insane. Like, I don't know. Like, how am I going to know about all these magics? They're just off the world. Like, it's different. It's new magics." I'm like, yeah, but like none of us know. Like, this is just it's just there now.
I promise I did come up with the Circle of Dresden, by the way. I didn't steal it from anyone else. That one was actually me.
I actually went through. I searched on Alex's Discord, you and changes when I was trying to look for the Cycle of Dresden to show Tall Guy and Jordan, and it was just you being like, I give changes a loud screaming out of 10, and then that was like
yeah.
right
I mean,
before.
it's pinned, right?
Yeah, I know that now, but that was when I first looked for it.
Okay.
So it was like 2 days or like 2 weeks or something before you posted the Cycle of Dresden. You had posted, I give changes a loud screaming out of 10. So I was like, oh, you can see Jake's origin story as he's learning how he's going to get to the Cycle of Dresden.
That is the score I give. I gave it an out of 10.
Yeah, I need to reread that book. It's so good.
It is.
I have come to the conclusion with more distance that I like changes more than Battleground. So I think we have. What are your top 3 changes?
Changes, Battleground, Skin Game.
Yes, that's my top 3 too.
That's the correct top 3. That's like entire Alex and Yavez's entire Discord. We've agreed that that's the top 3. You can put them in any order. We don't care. But that's the top 3. According to me, the authority.
Skin Game is very, very good. Skin Game has elements like you've really said what Skin Games is the best, which is I think what you said was Skin Game is the most impressive because it's just doing the Dresden formula, but doing it to the top level in every moment. Whereas like changes in Battleground do crazier things, so they're like more memorable in that sense. But like Cold Days Skin Game is just a Dresden book, but it's just excellent.
Yeah, it's like when there's a TV show and there's like the end of the season, like 2-parter, crazy, insane ones. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's the best episode. But then there's just this random individual episode in the middle of the season that's like 99% as good. And you're like, that's maybe even more impressive because like you didn't have 6 books of setup to pay off.
You didn't pay Bryan Cranston to do a cameo. You know?
Yeah, like you just did the normal thing. You just did it better.
Yeah, I totally agree. I am really interested to reread the beginning of Dresden because I feel like it'll be very nostalgic now. Because
it's almost in some ways the differences in quality become even more clear and they become more disappointing because you know what they can be.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like sometimes when I go reread an earlier book in a series, I'm like, oh, this is like so much better than I gave it credit for. Stormfront, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of fun, kind of mid. All right.
Yeah. The one I'm most interested to reread is Grave Peril.
Yeah.
Because that's the book I almost DNF'd the series on. And I don't remember that much from it. I remember the end.
Grave Peril has a ton of good stuff. Grave Peril, I think on reread, you will agree, is clearly better than Stormfront and Full Moon.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I remember Full Moon is not very good.
Yeah, it's the worst one.
Although, so I've convinced 2 people to skip books that we're going to DNF the series already. One is Bookborn, who's going to start on book 7, and then Jordan, who read 5 and then 7 and is now on 8, and that is working for her. That is a successful strategy as of yet. We'll see.
It's a last resort. It's like the skip to book 7 is like the ultimate last resort of like they're going to DNF. But yeah, I tell people like don't skip books, but if you're going to DNF, the last book you should read should be 7, no matter where you are. Well, not if you're DNFing on book 10, then it's not for you. It's fine. Summer Night, I might be the most improved on reread. So I think there's 4 clear most improved on reread. Summer Night, Ghost Story, maybe 3 in Battleground.
Yeah. Summer Night is the first one I remember being like, okay, this series has legs. Like, it opened up some more
It has
stuff.
more legs than I do.
Yes, more legs than you. So what I was gonna say is, I told those people to skip, and it's going well so far. But one thing that I do wonder about is like changes are so good that I don't think you need, like we were just talking about how you don't need to catch every reference in a book to like it. But changes really does take elements from every single one of the previous book and like be like, hey, remember these guys? And it just like contributes to the overall feeling of like, wow, this is great. And Full Moon is no, I'm thinking of Battleground now. Sorry. Battleground is where the people from Full Moon.
What are you talking about?
I just never mind. I know what I'm saying when I'm trying to say it without spoilers, so I just like what I'm trying to say is that skipping the lesser books like as a last resort, like I obviously agree with, but then there's like elements from those books that come back that like then have more added significance because you read everything. And I'm wondering if that will affect their read, but I don't think that it will.
Oh no, they won't get the Anvils callback.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, see, you didn't get it either. And did it affect your reading experience of Battleground?
Shut up, Nick. I was not talking well. It's early for me. I've only had one coffee.
What's up, Jay?
Hey, Jay. How's it going?
Welcome to the party. We're doing a little Dresden.
We're not making sense. And by we, I mean me. Jake has made sense all day.
So sometimes when I'm like editing, I'll be like, wow, I did not say what I meant to say there.
Yeah.
Huh.
You're just getting the live, unfiltered Kyle experience right now.
I just want to take a bunch of stuff anyway, so this is
yeah.
I don't do that much editing. You can probably tell that by the videos.
Well, they're long.
They are long. They're too long. But
I don't mind rambling on, but sometimes like I did this video once and I thought that I lost the file and I ended up finding it, so I think I'll post the video, but it was like the 12 books that have influenced me the most. And I was like editing it and I just randomly went on like a 3-minute tangent about my parents. Like I just kind of like went into a story. I was like, I can cut this 3-minute story about my parents. Like I don't think I need that. Yeah, but people didn't think I was angry at them. They just were like, you don't make any sense right now. You're rambling.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of like if he tripped and fell on his keyboard and pressed enter or something, okay?
I don't know. Sometimes I'm eloquent, most times I'm not.
Being eloquent is hard. So I once, in my Serentine Mosaic video, I cut out a random thing where I was talking about like, how like there's the Sassanid Empire in this book, but it's not called the Sassanid Empire. Then I was like, those guys are so annoying in Attila Total War. Like they always declare war on you in your Eastern Roman Empire campaigns. And I was like, see, this is unnecessary. This is hour-long video.
I don't mind those kind of things in videos. I think as the creator, you're more like in your own head about how much people are going to care. Like I'm sure there's a limit. Like you could probably ramble too much, but like usually, like if you had kept that in, I would have just thought that was an amusing anecdote about how much that annoyed you.
It's an hour-long video, Kyle.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Jay mentioned my parents' stories are goated, and I have a new story. This is actually more about me than my parents, but my dad was there. And it's a crazy story. And every time I see my dad, he just like randomly mentions a thing. And I'm like, how did I not know this thing? And he's like, I don't know. It never came up. So I just learned that I was hit by a truck as a kid and I was almost killed. But I was hit by a truck being driven by a one-eyed clown. This is a true story. So on the fair, there's this thing where you've probably seen it at some point if you've been on a fair where like there's a guy, usually a clown, but not always, sitting on a little ledge and you throw a ball and you hit this button and it puts him in water.
Dunk tank, yeah.
Yeah, dunk tank, yeah, okay. So this guy did this and he had lost his eye when he was younger. And so his whole like face was scarred. And so he really liked being the clown, so that it made him feel like people didn't notice his eye, all this stuff. But I knew this guy as a kid. And I was like playing with styrofoam on the ground, and I just like really like styrofoam, and I went on the ground, and this dude like backed up his truck and he didn't see me because of his eye, and he backed up into me with his truck and he knocked me over with his truck, and I just like got back up and started playing with my styrofoam again. And my dad was like, "You almost killed him. That's crazy." And so my dad was really mad at this guy. He's like, you shouldn't be driving anyway. Like, you can't see to the left. Like you don't even have a license. Like, he just drove illegally because he didn't have a license. And this isn't really a parent story now that I'm thinking about
You're
it.
snitching on this clown now. The government's going to watch this and they're going to go find this guy.
It was 20 years ago. I think the statute of limitations is 25 years ago. But
I just learned
anyway,
Kyle's a snitch. Very disappointing.
That's
why your dad didn't tell you until now. He ain't no snitch.
Yeah. And I think getting hit by that truck means that every once in a while I try and talk about full moon and I don't make any sense. So it all comes out.
Oh, this was all an excuse. Okay.
Yeah.
A likely story.
Yeah, I could imagine. I don't have a second language, so I don't even be eloquent in the first.
I mean, I technically have a second language, but I just don't speak it, and so now I can't speak it anymore because I did French immersion for a while. So I don't speak French anymore because I never interact with people in French.
Yeah, it's hard if you don't use it. Like, my wife did French immersion, and then she went to Montreal and like lived there and spoke French. And then like now she can still speak French, but like not nearly as well as she could like 7, 8 years ago when she had to do it all the time.
I speak Kyle better than I speak French. Because that's a skill I practice,
I knew one sentence in French and I repeated it over and over again so I could say that I knew a little French, and then I forgot it. So I don't know any French.
Okay. Oh.
That is true. That is very true.
But does Kyle remember being hit by a car enough for it to really be able to make the video? Kyle, I think we're going to have to hit you with a car again. For you to participate in
it's research. It's research.
You're going to be in Vancouver. We can get it set up pretty easily.
I don't want to ruin my vacation. My wife will be so mad. Like, you went and got hit by a car.
You'll be like, yeah, but now I can do this book tag. So, like,
it all works out. My wife is so safety conscious. Like, she's like, my dad bought me a bike for my birthday. First thing out of her mouth is, oh, we got to go get you a helmet. Not like later on, like, no benefit of the doubt given. She's like, oh, we got to go get you a helmet right now. I was like, I'm not gonna, like, I can ride it home. It's 10 blocks. Give me a little credit.
You should have a helmet for your bike.
I'm going to get a helmet for my bike. I agree with her. It was just that it was like immediate. She was like, you need a helmet. And I'm like, oh no, I'll be okay. I've got hit by a car. I'm fine.
That's not how that works. Being hit by a car does not. No, that's not how that works.
Yeah, I think.
You know what? Actually, we need to get you some chainmail for your bike. Yeah, that's my second.
Yeah, I'm sure. Do you drive, Jake, or do you bus?
Yeah, I drive.
Wow, without legs. Look at you go.
I know. I've got a system.
Yeah. So what are some books that you want to read in the foreseeable future, like for the rest of the year, like your TBR?
Too many, and I'm not gonna get them all. Okay, so the rest of the Long Price Quartet. Want to get to that. Although kind of awkwardly, I actually need to read more because book club right now is starting Dagger on the Coin. So I'm gonna actually start both Daniel Abraham series before I continue both. So whatever. Alan will have to live with that. Man, now I forget what books I'm planning to read, but I feel like there's a lot. Let me bring up my Goodreads.
He is reading Soldier Son, book 1, and I am finishing Memories Vice today. What about you, Jay? What are you reading? I haven't seen an update from you in a while. Did you start rereading Three Body Problem? I saw you were going to consider doing that.
Yeah, I was going to read The Darkness That Comes Before at some point.
Oh, I have to read that this year. We can buddy read it if you want.
Okay, I'll try. There's some non-fantasy books I want to read. It's really long, but I do want to read A Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah, that's one of those books I want to read, but not this year.
I got while I was in America, I saw this book, and I think based on the fact that you gave it a good review earlier, I got And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. Never read any Agatha Christie.
Oh, dude, and Then They Are None is such a good book. That is, I don't know if you know, but that's like one of the best-selling books of all time. Like if you Google the list, it's like 4th or 5th or something like that. Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, the preface has like Agatha Christie's like the only books that have outsold her are like Shakespeare and the Bible.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, that's a pretty good flex. Like, I only am losing to Shakespeare and religious texts.
Yeah.
All right, you've done pretty well for yourself.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because like when I read it a few years ago and I really liked it, but you can see how much influence it's had on the genre. Like I know you don't read too many mysteries, but like you've seen mystery movies and stuff, presumably. So like you'll be like, it's just like a masterclass in the genre. And then you can see how many things it inspired afterwards.
And then I'll probably enjoy the Doctor Who Agatha Christie episode more. So that'll be a win.
Probably. Pete was just reading Agatha the whole time. I am kind of interested in the Netflix adaptation because it's not 30 episodes to adapt a 450-page book. And the cast is good, but I was not convinced by the trailer. So I don't know. And it's made by two notorious losers. So we'll see.
I know nothing about this TV show and have nothing to add.
Oh, so the guys who made Game of Thrones are making a Netflix show about the three-body problem that comes out in January. And the trailer dropped like 2 days ago.
I guess they have a track record of adapting things when they have source material, but also one of the reasons that adaptation worked is that they barely had to write dialogue.
Yeah, so it is you haven't read Three-Body Problem, right?
No, but from what I have heard, George might be slightly better at dialogue, just like a little bit.
It's more of a concept-heavy book, and like I can remember like 3 lines of dialogue in the entire trilogy, and it's just because like it's more about the ideas than what's actually going on, like being said in dialogue. So they have a lot of work to do to like make it engaging, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm gonna try it. If it's bad, we'll drop it. I don't have any skin in the game.
That works. I can go read and then there none. Then actually, I probably will randomly watch the Agatha Christie Doctor Who episode.
There's a really good. I mean, I shouldn't say really good because I haven't seen it, but there's a well-regarded BBC miniseries of And There Are None, and the guy who plays Tywin is one of the characters.
Okay.
And it has like a good cast, so you might want to watch that after. It is not about compassion. What are you talking about?
Or the opposite. It's about compassion or the opposite of compassion.
What is the exact opposite of compassion? Disregard? No, that's not it. I don't know. But yeah, I see what he means. It's a very nihilistic series.
Let's see what Google thinks. What is the opposite of compassion?
You should read that trilogy because it is wild. I will tell you that.
It has indifference or heartlessness.
I think heartlessness is good.
Okay. Is it about heartlessness?
Maybe. That is assuming that they will do that.
Yeah, by the way, A Song for Our Bone is much better than this stream. So yes.
Yes.
As much as we'd love to have you around, Our Bone is better. Well, I mean, maybe if this was like chatting with nuts, but Kyle's Corner is like
Kyle's Corner just ain't the real shit, you know. It's a
pretty small corner.
It's the Fruit O's of the cereal world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I get to be on episode 2 instead of like episode 20. So
yeah,
actually, I think it was like episode 8. I forget. Whatever.
I went back and watched a lot of like because I didn't get into chatting with nuts until like later on, like I don't know, like 15 or 20. I don't remember what number. And so I went back like a few weeks ago or a few months ago and like watched a bunch of the early episodes. And that's interesting because now you like whoever was on the episodes would be talking about things they're going to read and like all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, but now you've read that. Like it's interesting. It's like a time portal.
Jay, the GGK check always comes on time. The GGK estate treats me very well. That's why I've been so consistent, you know?
Is it better than the Robin Hobb?
The Robin Hobb, there was a little like gap there. But they generally they'll pay me.
She has bad internet, that's why.
It's less steady. Like it's like when I'm really doing well, I get even more. So you know, they both have their pros and cons. GGK is like the reliable, steady source of income, and then every once in a while I get a boost from the Robin Hobb estate.
Yeah. Well, that's because you don't make videos anymore, so you have to get an income somehow, you know.
It's true. But the GGK estate is they are still like, you know what, you're still doing good work. The where to start is still working. So the GGK estate is they have my back. They know that I'm reliable. Yeah.
That's good.
They're finally starting to see even though I'm not making videos in it, like they're seeing the results of previous videos. So they're like, oh, okay, we can see this was a worthy investment, So it's going pretty well. Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask before we go, have you read both Secret Projects or just Trust?
No, I haven't read Frugal Wizard. I'm waiting for the hardcover to get here. I don't know why it's taking
Oh, okay. Okay. So you're like, you don't really read ebooks, do you?
I do sometimes. I used to a lot. I'm not against ebooks, but especially when it's a nice hardcover, I'm like with a bunch of artwork.
That book. So I didn't really like Frugal Wizard, but when I saw the actual physical ones, I was like, wow, these books look really, really nice. Like Tress looked really nice too, but I thought it looked nice even in just like ebook. Like the illustrations looked good. I kind of thought the illustrations were like borderline trashy in the ebook, but they look real good in the hardcover.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why mine hasn't showed up.
All right. Well, then that negates my question, which is just, are you going to read the new one?
It's the most beautiful book ever. Wow. I have doubts, but okay.
Is this Frugal Wizard? I'm surprised that you liked it. Yeah, there is a lot of stuff. Even, I just got this illustrated edition of Game of Thrones. It is so much better than the illustrated edition of Storm of Swords, which is just like, I think what happened is a Storm of Swords, they finished the illustrated edition and realized they had not done any illustrations. And they're just like, somebody's nephew is like 7 or 8 years old, right? They can quickly put something together. And like, great. And they just threw some stuff in there. But this one actually has artwork in every single chapter. And it's like really good artwork. And I like it so much more. And it's just strange that it didn't keep up that quality.
I think my most beautiful books would either be Way of Kings, Leatherbound, or Book in the New Sun folio.
Yeah, that folio's nice. Mine is the Warbreaker Leatherbound. I really want to get the Way of Kings though. Nick offered to sell it to me, but I'm poor, so I'm just gonna take his Tress instead.
You're taking Nick's Tress? That's just rude.
I mean, not taking. He's selling it to me.
Okay.
So there is more comedy in both of the newer books. I don't think there's that much. It's also different styles of comedy. Like I think people like really don't like Lift and like Wayne, and then they think those are the only types of humor that Sanderson can do. But Tress definitely has a lot of jokes, but they're like Hoyd jokes. So it's like if you like Hoyd's humor, which is a different brand of humor in the Cosmere, you'll probably like the jokes, but I don't think they are comedies. Like they just have a bit more humor in them. Frugal Wizard tries to be more jokey, and I don't think it's very funny. But
I thought Tress was funny. I
thought Tress was funny. Yeah. Frugal Wizard had a couple funny jokes, but it mostly had a lot of cringy jokes.
I've decided. I think in general is my for humor in like fantasy books. The characters who are designed to be like comedic characters, I tend to find not as funny, but just like for Sanderson, when his non-comedic characters are funny, I find them quite funny.
I think Pattern is hilarious, and
Pattern is the funniest Sanderson character, and I'm not going to hear otherwise.
For sure, like it's not even close, and I don't think I'm sure he's obviously writing jokes with Pattern, but I think when he sits down to write Lift, he's like, Lift must be funny, and then that he's trying too hard for me. Whereas like with Pattern does other stuff, and then also it's just funny.
Pattern just is funny, yeah. That's actually the same with like a few authors where like they don't necessarily have like characters who are meant to be comedic, but like I laugh quite a bit. Generally, that.
How do you not find Pattern funny? Like what? Like
I think he needs Sanderson. I think timing wise, that was posted before you started talking.
No, I know that, but I'm saying like Pattern is written by Sanderson.
That's true.
I'm refuting this with the fact that Pattern is very funny. I have not done the audiobooks for Stormlight, and I probably won't. So
my internal voice does a great job for Pattern, and hits the delivery exactly as I like it to.
Yeah,
every
me
time.
too. Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind Michael Kramer and Kate Redding. I actually kind of like them, and I like them for Wheel of Time. But I really don't want their like Wheel of Time perceptions in my head to then somehow be kind of Kaladin. Like I don't want Rand Kaladin. Like I want Kaladin to be Kaladin. I'm very attached to my mental image of these characters. I'm good. I will just read these books physically.
Yeah, it's kind of the two-way whammy because it's like I don't want to read a book first for audio because then I won't enjoy it as much. But I don't want to reread a book audio because then it's not the way I read it and it's wrong. So
I think it depends on the book. I do like rereading favorites on audio afterwards because even if it's different, it's like a different interpretation.
yeah,
I just think specifically that I've listened to Kramer and Redding so much otherwise, it will influence it.
Yeah, like I did Tigana on audio as a reread, but it was like then I read the last chapter physically, and I enjoyed it like immediately more once I started reading it phically.
Yeah, I don't.
It done changes on audio as well. Changes I've read too many times though, so I'm like the rhythm of that sentence was wrong. That's not how Harry said
it. When you, I think you've said that you would do this before, but if you haven't, if it wasn't you, the next time you want to reread a book and like listen to it on audio and see how it is, Project Hail Mary. That is a book that is improved by the audio experience.
Yeah, I mean, at some point I might reread Project Hail Mary, but I have no idea when. But if I were to, it would be on audio.
I know it's not like on your TBR plan. I just think you said that like that was on your mind at some point. But that book, like, because that is it has such a premise that is done in a particular way that you wouldn't be able to imagine yourself. So like,
try imagining better.
I mean, you just wouldn't like.
That's true. I didn't. I failed to. I was unable to imagine better. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. So that's done very well in the audiobook. So
okay, I mean, it makes sense why it would work for audio.
Yeah. Did you read Artemis?
No, because no one says it's good.
It's not good.
There are two books that I'm waiting for one person to tell me they're good before I read them, and those books are Artemis and White Sand. And so far, no one.
Do you just need one person, just like any human being?
Not any human, someone who like I'd normally take book recommendations from, to tell me like, oh yeah, this is really good, and then I'll consider reading it. But up until now, it's 0 people to like I'd normally go to for recommendations.
I think I've DNF'd White Sands like 2 or 3 times. Like,
yeah, so you're not that one person.
Yeah.
So we're not. And so as far as the current plan is to not read either of them until that happens, which it might never happen.
If even Sanderson is like, I mean, I wouldn't read White Sands.
Yeah, even Sanderson.
I'm probably not going to read White Sands.
I don't know what Weir thinks of Artemis, but
he probably likes it. Artemis has an extremely bad case. Maybe the worst case I can think of men writing women. That's what I've heard. Yeah, terrible. Like it is not good. And he just takes the same like character as from Project Hail Mary and The Martian. He's like, what if they were just a woman, and then they just didn't act different, but also were obsessed with sex? And I was just like, this is not. I want him to like revisit that setting, but just with a different character. Because the main thing I didn't like is that the main character is terrible.
Yeah, I feel like anywhere he's kind of a bit of a one-trick pony, but like twice that trick has been really good.
No, listen, read either of his other 2 books. Everybody dislikes Artemis, Mariana. Like it is not a good book. Like it is not indicative of how good his other 2 books are.
Like this conversation can happen. What's your favorite book of all time? Project Hail Mary. What do you think of Artemis? It's terrible. Like
yes, that is a conversation that's definitely happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm not gonna read Artemis. I'm just gonna literally like. Do I have any friends on Goodreads who like him? Let's see. It's Artemis like by Andy Weir.
When I looked up my Crossroads from Twilight. Or Crossroads of Twilight friend rating, it was like 1 star, 1 star, 1 star, 2 star, 1 star, 1 star, 2 star, DNF, 1 star, 2 star. And like one person gave it 3 stars. I was like, wow.
Okay, we have some friends who like it, but it's all people I don't know. Let's see people who I actually know. No, I don't know any of you. Shake gave it 2 stars, which now I'm sad again.
Yeah.
Theo gave it 3.
No, the book.
Josh gave it 5 and DNF Memories of Ice. What is going on? What is
Josh? I think we have to kick him from BookTube. That is insane.
Yeah, we have to be like, so Josh, Why is Artemis better than Memory's Vice?
So he had a multifaceted reason for DNFing Memories of Ice. I don't want to mitigate his reasoning, but there was one major thing. He was like, I don't like blank. And then he DNF'd at a certain point. And then like 2 chapters later, blank is not really a problem anymore. And I just wanted to be like
message
bro.
put in private chat what blank is?
Yes.
Fantastic. I barely remember them.
Yeah.
Oh, I do remember them. Yeah. Okay.
He DNF'd like basically like a chapter or 2 before like the big thing that happens with them. And I was just like, dude. I could see you really liking this book and just being like, yeah, there's like weird sex stuff, but like the setting is cool, bro. Ideas, sci-fi for life. Yeah. Like I always group Andy Weir, and not in terms of quality, like not at all, but in terms of just like he has a lot in common with Ernest Cline, except he can actually write books, and Ernest Cline is a snake oil salesman fueling on nostalgia. But they both had a really popular first book that was like a pop sci-fi book that everybody really, really went crazy for, and they got like a big budget movie adaptation that people went crazy for, and then they followed it up with trash that everybody hated. And then they both were like, well, I'll go back to what works. And then they went back to their respective fields. But once again, Andy Weir can write books, and Ernest Cline is a snake oil salesman that fuels on nostalgia. And so Ready Player 2 was even worse than the trash that had happened beforehand. And
I thought Ready Player 2 was the trash. I didn't know something was in between those.
No, I don't like Ready Player 1 either.
No, I mean, what was the trash in between Ready Player 1 and Ready Player 2?
Armada. Which
I didn't know that book existed.
Armada, when I say I have quite literally never heard somebody say that book is good, I mean, I literally mean it. Like Ready Player 2, I know a couple people that are just like weird, and they're just like, I really like Ready Player 2. I'm like, you do you, man. You live your life. But Armada, I think even like the diehard Ernest Cline fans were like, wow, I hated this book.
Checking friends and reviews. All right, I don't add 3 stars from Brian Lee Durfee. Okay. Okay, yeah, I don't know any of the people who gave it a higher score. Sarah has it on want to read, so that'll be interesting. Mike, is Mike still here? Mike gave it 1. Mike's read it and gave it 1 star. I don't think Mike's still here.
We'll talk about it with him on Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a good book, I'm sure. So there's a podcast called 372 Pages I'll Never Get Back, and it's a podcast of 2 guys that they're comedians, and like I don't know what else they do, but they just read Ready Player 1 chapter by chapter and broke down how much they hated it. And then they did the first season, and they're like, you know what's even worse? Armada. And so they did season 2 on Armada, and they were like, this book is in fact worse than Ready Player 1.
So this is one of the reviews of Armada, and imagine this pitch to you. Okay, let's get this out of the way. If you're looking to recreate the singular reading experience you had with Ready Player 1, to recapture the same magical feeling of wonder and awesomeness, you're going to be disappointed with this book just straight up. Don't you want to read it now, Kyle?
No, I don't think I do. So, I really didn't like Ready Player 1, but when people say they like it, I understand why. Like, it was actually a very compelling book, and I read it really fast. And then it was when I got to the end, I was like, I think I hated that book. Like, it just took me time to settle in, but it's very engaging. Ready Player 2 is an awful book. Like, it is not good. I will go to bat for it being terrible. And I don't understand how somebody could like it, because it's not it. I don't know who that book is for, because Ready Player 1 is for specific people, and I just happen to not be that person. But like, then it takes the things that they would love about Ready Player 1 and then just shits all over them in Ready Player 2. And I'm like, I don't understand what you're after, man. And that was the singularly worst reading experience.
Grade 9 me had fun reading Ready Player 1.
And that's fine. I totally get why somebody would. I don't think Ready Player 2 is fun. I think
the most significant thing about Ready Player 1 is it's the book I read directly before The Final Empire.
It's before you got good.
Yeah. Yeah. Then I was like,
I was gonna bring this up, and I decided I didn't want to inflict this on any more people. Ernest Cline's poetry is a war crime. I will say it flat out. It is. He should be jailed for inflicting that on my brain. It is really, really bad. I mentioned it offhand to Bookboard once, or no, I mentioned it offhand to Leanna once, and then she went and looked it up, and she was like, "This is terrible. Why would you show me this?" And then later on, I got a message from Bookboard, and she's like, "So I hear you're to blame for me now knowing about Ernest Cline's poetry." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ruining lives over here." You're
just
looking it
doing your
up right
normal
now.
thing, ruining
Are
lives.
you looking it up right now?
No, I can't.
Oh, okay. Oh, I don't suggest you do, like, genuinely.
Okay, I won't. It will permanently scar me.
It's not good. It's very bad. It's very cringy.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we'll just not look up his poetry. I don't think we need more Ernest Cline. I think we're okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I need to get ready for work, so I'm gonna end things here. Is there anything else you want to say since you haven't been booktubing for a while? Our audience?
The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin is phenomenal. Yes. I'd read Earthsea. I liked Earthsea. Dispossessed was the book club book. Book club book for things that weren't on my TBR have not had the best track record.
Pete did not listen to me. I said don't look at it.
Yeah. So if we look at the book club books so far that were not on my radar, like I wasn't on my TBR before I read them, we got Gideon, 1 star. City of Brass, like 3 stars. Daughter of the Moon Goddess, 2 stars. Binti, 3 stars. Master of Jinn, like 3.5 stars. Neverwhere, like 7 out of 10-ish. Marrow Thieves, 2 stars. Lovecraft Country was pretty good, maybe like 7.5 or something. So the track record was not good. And the Dispossessed was not on my TBR. And I haven't read that many books, so this doesn't mean as much as it has in previous years, but it might currently be first on my book of the year list. I love the Dispossessed. It was phenomenal. Yeah.
I will never be able to hear you talk about that book without hearing the Dispossessed. When Jake posted it on Goodreads, he went on some like side 12-year-old smuggler version of Goodreads, and it had no cover art, and it was just all in capital letters, the Dispossessed. And I was like, why are you doing it this way? And he's like, I don't know, it's just what came up.
I was on my phone, okay? I was on vacation.
Goodreads is awful. Yeah, no, I really do want to read that. I just read Rocannon's World, which is the first of the Hannah cycle. Of course, Nick doesn't think the Dispossessed.
That's okay. The Dispossessed. He probably read the Dispossessed, not the Dispossessed.
Yeah, common mistake. Big L. Rocannon's World was good. I do think it was like too short to like get like that much out of for me. Like I thought it was interesting world building, but I know I'm speaking in generalities, but I think that tends to be my fear of older sci-fi works is that like they're like 140 pages, and I'm like, I just want more time to develop whatever idea it is you're talking about. But maybe I just need to read more of it. But it was good. I really want to read The Dispossessed. Do you ever choose the book in your book club? Like,
yeah, I mean, so we choose as a group, and a lot of the time I've been directly involved in what book we're. So I was directly involved in picking the first one, Piranesi. Love Piranesi. And then we wanted a short one that was also popular because it was the first one first semester, and I was involved in picking Emperor's Soul.
There you go.
I was involved in us doing Hyperion. I was involved in us doing 5th Season. This one, I mean, I'd already read, but I didn't directly suggest, but they did Cerulean Sea. Did Assassin's Apprentice. I was obviously directly involved with that.
So basically, whenever you like a book, it's one you suggested besides The Dispossessed.
Yes, that's correct.
Interesting.
And then Small Gods, people want to do Discworld, and they were going to do Guards. And I was like, I've kind of already read Guards. Is there any chance we could do like Small Gods? People are like, yeah, sure. And I really like Small Gods. Exhalation, phenomenal. Song for Our Bone, Jade City. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you're keeping them reading good books.
I mean, obviously, I like the books I recommended because, like, but in general, the book club like those books as well.
Yeah. Did you recommend books you had already read?
Sometimes. I mean,
Oh,
I
okay.
wanted them
Then
to do a Guy, but sometimes there's books I hadn't already read. Like I
Yeah.
hadn't read Hyperion or the 5th season,
Gotcha.
or Exhalation. Exhalation, I think, has like the highest average score of any book we've done so far.
Nice. How many people are in your book club? Or does
I
it
mean,
vary?
it varies how many people show up. So usually are at least like 8 to 10, and sometimes like usually the first one of the semester is like 25 or 30.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm starting a book club with my friends because we're old and we never get to see each other as much because everybody has lives and kids and families and responsibilities. And so when we do get together, it's always like, hey, let's go out and drink or like eat. And I'm like, I don't always want to do that. What if we just like a couple of us started a book club? And I managed to convince some of them. And so we're going to start that next month. But I know that I'm going to have to teach them about real literature because they're all like, yeah, I'll read any genre. I'm like, no, you won't. Like if I start you with Way of Kings, you're going to have some problems. So we'll see how that goes. I don't think it's going to, it's not going to
They're like, I'll read any genre, give them Finnegan's Wake.
Yeah. I am going to try and like drip drop some fantasy in there. Like it's not going to be specifically fantasy. Like I'm going to try and, obviously suggest books I think people will want to read. But actually the first one I was like thinking of like a couple options in different genres to like lay out as options, and Piranesi was what was like the fantasy option I was going to do because it's very short, it's very accessible, and it can invite a lot of discussion.
Yeah, I will at some point. I read the first page of the next Hyperion book, and I really liked page 1. So hopefully the
I
other
will
pages are good.
also read them at some point, but I did not super like Fall of Hyperion, so I kind of pushed it down.
I've jokingly wanted to be like, we should do Shadow of the Torturer for the book club, just for the chaos. It'd be hilarious.
I will probably never make them read Dandelion Dynasty, but maybe I'll suggest it. I don't know. I doubt it. I think it'll be shorter books. Like 3 of the people in there have 2 kids, and they don't read very often, and I'm just sure they'll want like less than 500 pages for books. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll drip dry them into fantasy, and then eventually they'll be like, "This fantasy stuff's amazing. You got any 700-page books?" And I'm like, "Boy, do I ever!"
Not only do I have a 700-page book, it then has a 950-page sequel, and then 2,000-page ones after that are like one giant 2,000-page book.
Yeah. But yeah, all right. I'm gonna get going. Thanks everybody in the chat for showing up.
Thank you for
Thank
showing
you,
up,
Jake.
chat. We'll run out of things to talk about. We've just been sitting here, been like run time. So thanks everyone.
All right, bye everybody.